I stand to second. And Mr. Speaker, I agree with the majority leader that we are at difficult times because 6 months ago, as he said, no one knew that the world will turn to what it is today. And it was unforeseen because that time we thought that things will be normal, there will be no war in the Middle East, the Strait of Hormuz will not be closed, and life will be as good as it were. But now that we are in a difficult time, the Speaker, so it is prudent upon us to show leadership. And as you know, mediation is provided for in our standing orders. So, Mr. Speaker, there is no harm in having a mediation on this matter so that the Senate and the National Assembly could sit and analyze this matter deeper so that we look at the issues holistically and we look at the issues in accordance with what is happening in the world today, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, because of what's happening in the world today, the government had to do extra measures to cushion Kenyans from the excesses that has happened in terms of fuel prices. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the majority leader that we take this matter to mediation so that we come up with an informed and a better and more in-depth decision than we took at the beginning of the year when we were doing, in the last session when we were doing the division of revenue bill. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I second, and I urge members to support that so that the mediation process also could be expedited so that a report could be tabled in the houses as fast as possible, Mr. Speaker.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Kuroria, take your seat. Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 15, which is that the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 2 of 2026, be now considered. I see Ndindi Nyoro wants to speak.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance. And Honorable Speaker, I call upon all of us as members in the National Assembly, because clearly this issue is headed for mediation, that it is important that we also be considerate as the members of the National Assembly to also our county governments. Honorable Speaker, there is a rise in terms of the revenues of Kenya from last financial year to this current financial year, nominally to around 8 to 10% in terms of those revenues. Honorable Speaker, also in terms of the cumulative budget, we will now be considering a budget of around 4.8 trillion Kenya shillings, a figure we have never considered in this House before. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, my call is that we must support devolution and be seen to actually support it, because we have actually maintained the same amount we gave to our county governments, the shareable revenue of 420 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable Speaker, we are proposing to sustain the same. And I don't think that is fair, Honorable Speaker, and especially given that the inflationary pressures alone, we will be talking at around maybe over 5%, Honorable Speaker. It is important, Honorable Speaker, that as we consider these kind of matters, let us not personalize. When we personalize that we are giving this money to specific governors, we are likely, Honorable Speaker, to be subjective.
Yes, there's a point of order.
First, we have not yet even voted whether we are sending this matter to a mediation or not. You have not put the question yet. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I want to inform the House that it is this House that in the last financial year that increased revenue shareable revenue of the counties from 385 billion to 415 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. It's on record, Mr. Speaker. We are the owners of devolution. We know how devolution works, and we want to support devolution. So that is why, we want to send, because it is the Senate that has given this figure. It's not the National Assembly. They have said that they want to increase this revenue to 454 billion. It doesn't mean that we have to agree with them in totality. We can decrease or we can increase in accordance with what is possible. But Mr. Speaker, let us not also use this as a political, let us not politicize this process. Yes, the majority leader can inform you as a distinguished former chair of the budget committee, not the one we removed.
Honorable Speaker, I wanted to inform the Honorable Junet that indeed the former chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, stood in his place in this house when we were passing the shareable revenue last year and pretended that this is not the only amount that we are taking to the counties. And if I remember well, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro was speaking about a figure of 476 billion. It's in the Hansard. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, in the same spirit, using Honorable Ndindi Nyoro's words, I had just said when I was moving, there is some 8.94 billion that had been left out in the bill by both houses. And therefore, 420, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro is simply being intellectually dishonest because he knows. And there is no more dangerous thing than when those who ought to know better seek to misinform the country for political gain, Honorable Speaker. Because the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro knows that 420 billion, as proposed, is not the only money that goes to counties. Two, Honorable Speaker, to remind Honorable Junet and to inform him that when we sat with him under the broad-based government arrangement, part of the 10-point agenda is to progressively move the shareable revenue to even beyond 450 billion. And we are on course, and we are working on that, Honorable Speaker. But we must also be reasonable as leaders, and that's why I said, Honorable Speaker, earlier, that this is such a time that calls for leadership, not political posturing. The easiest thing to